Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jim. It's Amedeus, and we got some stuff to talk about. Some baseball, some college football, and a little bit of everything else. So, Amadeus, how you doing this afternoon?
Oh, I'm good. It's a bit of a slower Wednesday, but still plenty going on and leading up
Yeah,
to a good weekend. So,
there you go. Gotta go. Gotta go. Last night we saw the Phillies demolish the Diamondbacks pitching. Now, in fairness, that ballpark isn't big. Okay. That said, Kyle Schwarber didn't have any problem launching. They hit a lot of home runs last night, and it's you gotta wonder. The Phillies are up 2-0 going to Arizona, and the Rangers are 2 up going back to Arlington. Are they going to come back to Philadelphia? Are they going to come back to Houston? I don't know.
yeah, well, that's the big question, right?
Right.
With the Diamondbacks, we talked a lot about this, about how the second half of the
Mhm.
season, their offense was really declining. They
Mhm.
finished, as a very mediocre team with their offense and a very mediocre team with their pitching. So,
Mhm.
now obviously they started hot. They kicked out the Brewers,
Right.
team with the best pitching staff, and they kicked out the Dodgers. One of the best teams in the
Right.
MLB. But now the good luck is starting to come to an end for them. The Phillies have the experience from last year. They're just as hot, only losing the one game to the Braves in
Right.
these playoffs. And yeah, now you're just starting to see the better team come through in that series. Obviously,
Mhm.
the Phillies' offense is a lot better than the Diamondbacks, and
Mhm.
their pitching is a lot better than it was last season when they made their World Series run. And specifically in these playoff games, the Phillies' pitching has been very good. So, yeah, it'll definitely carry them to the World Series for sure.
The Phillies pitching staff started to pick up in September.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, this is not the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to work where the pitching staff, the tired arms, and all that. Now, what happened? All right, well, they had guys, pitchers, on the IR for, different times, 3, 4 weeks at a time. And that's what cost them, any real chance to give the Braves any heartburn. So at the end of the day, the fact that these pitchers were, injured turned out to be a godsend because now they haven't had the stress on the arms and haven't had a chance to pitch in a while. Same thing as we discussed yesterday. We got Mad Max is on the mound tonight for the Rangers, and he hadn't pitched in a long time. And my understanding is he didn't even do a simulated game. He just did his normal, you know, bullpen session, and you know, he said I'm good to go. So, look, excuse me. If you're Max Scherzer with all of the experience he has, I don't think you necessarily have to have a warm up game to make it work. I think you're good to go. Excuse me. And regardless, it'll be interesting to see how Max, you know, because Houston's not a bad baseball team. So we'll see how Max gets by today. It will be
Yeah,
interesting.
I was going to say the same thing about Max, Jim. A guy like that with his experience, it's great to have the simulated game
Yeah.
or go play with the
Hmm.
minors for one game. But yeah, when you're a guy like him with his experience, he should be able to just come right back into the groove of things. Now, his last playoff start was with the Mets last season, and he gave up 7 runs to the Padres. So definitely not coming off the best last playoff game, but we'll see what he does tonight.
Here's the reason I personally, and Lord knows, I am I love me some Max Scherzer. He's a good guy and a hell of a pitcher. But excuse me, this happened with the Dodgers. It happened with the Nationals. It happened with the Mets last season. Max pitches so intently and so many innings during the course of the season that his arm gets tired. He's a 38-year-old guy. His arm gets tired, and they catch up to him. And if what was it? Not last year, but the year before, when he was with the Dodgers, he didn't even pitch. He sat there and watched Clayton Kershaw. So as much as I love Max, one of the benefits, perhaps, of Max having an injury is that he didn't pitch. So maybe there's some juice left in that arm. We'll have to see. But I think in the case of the Phillies, that's probably the benefit is that they had some bad outings, not because the pitchers are bad. It's just that they were gone, and they had a bunch of kids that brought up from Lehigh Valley. One of the great names in all of baseball, their AAA farm club is the Iron Pigs. So there you go. Excuse me. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out tonight. Should be a fun game to watch. And so that game, by the way, if you want to watch it, it's on FS1 tonight. FS1, no streaming. And that will be the game on at 8 o'clock on FS1. So there you go. Alrighty. What about, we got some college football tonight. And there's two games. FIU at Sam Houston. That game's a 7 o'clock kick. Alex DeBerrio on the play-by-play. Malik Zaire on color. And then the doubleheader, back end of the doubleheader, is New Mexico State and UTEP. That's a 9 o'clock start on the Deuce, ESPN2. John Shiffen and Cole Kubik calling those games tomorrow. Or tonight. So we got a doubleheader and some interesting matchups.
Yeah, definitely. We got with that first game, Sam Houston State is a 5.5 point favorite, and that's a very interesting line to me, just because this is a winless team. I know Sam Houston State is probably a lot better than what their record suggests, but still, this is the two worst teams in the Conference USA. So I kind of find this game a bit of a toss-up here, just because obviously Sam Houston State is 0-6 this year. They're going to be hungry for their first win, but FIU, they haven't been any better. They're 3-4 this season, but all 4 losses have come in the Conference USA. So this is one I would probably take the points with FIU, just because. This could come down to a field goal in the end, plus the way that Sam Houston State offense has been running all year. If they win this game, I don't see them blowing FIU out. FIU can probably keep it closer. So, yeah, I'd probably take the points with the Panthers. But, yeah, not the best game on the slate for sure.
Let me ask you, with regard to Sam Houston, do you suppose that it's, I don't know, 5 points just because you're the home team doesn't really register, does it?
Yeah, that 5 points is also a weird line, just because like what is 5 points? It's not really a field goal. It's not a touchdown. Right. So
it's a tweener. Yeah,
it's one of those weirder lines, and whenever I see those, I tend to lean with the underdog.
Probably makes a lot of sense. New Mexico State, the Lobos, take the trip down I-10 to face UTEP and that stadium down there in El Paso. And what do you make of that one?
Yeah, well, this one is a nice rivalry game. Obviously, these two teams are very close to each other. And yeah, this is one where UTEP opened as a 2.5 point favorite, and they are a 3 point dog as of right now. So huge line there. A lot of money has come in on New Mexico State. And I mean, UTEP has looked terrible all season. They're coming off that win, which came against FIU in their last game. Obviously, FIU, the worst team in the conference right now with their 0-4 record in the Conference USA. But yeah, UTEP, they're on their 4th string quarterback, I believe, or their starter and their backup's injured at least. I don't know if he's the 3rd string or the 4th string, but
doesn't really matter when you get to that part of a team, especially you know I don't mean to be rude to the folks of UTEP, but I mean it's not like UTEP's depth at quarterback is is amazing.
Yeah, 100%. So, and obviously, Pavia, he's been having a good
Hmm.
season. Jerry Kill, he took this team to a bowl game last year. So, and they're on a tear right now. They
Hmm.
didn't start the season well. Obviously, that loss to UMass,
Hmm.
which happens to be UMass's only win of the season,
Yeah.
does not look good at all. But they've really picked it up in their Conference USA play. So, got to give them
Hmm.
credit there. And yeah, they definitely have their sights set on another bowl game this year.
Well, and just for those who might be watching at home, those are the schools are two really cool schools. The vibe on campus. They're not big schools, but they're really nice places to go and to visit. And the stadiums are very nice. I mean, they're a little more intimate. They're not big, not big stadiums. They're really nice sized stadiums. So you can really get a feel for a good old fashioned college football game at either of those two universities, and of course at UTEP. That's where they play the Sun Bowl. So every year we get to see it. There's a off in the distance. If you if you enjoy it and can do it, they've got a mountain opposite the side that looks down into the stadium. If you are into rock climbing, you got a pretty good chance of going up there and getting to see the game for free.
Yeah, nice little nosebleed view.
Hmm. I know. I've seen a lot of the kids who go up there, to take that trek up, and then they take their tablet with them, or maybe it's the phone, either one, so they can watch the game on the phone while they're watching the game from afar. So it's kind of like if they miss something, they can at least get the replay or something like that. So it
I
is
get that
kind of a
because
cool thing.
they probably wouldn't be able to like see that well. But I thought you were gonna tell me they use like the zoom on the camera or something to watch
No,
the
no,
game
no,
through
no,
that.
no,
That
no.
come
First of
on.
all, that would be about it. That would take a lot. You might as well just bring binoculars if that's the
I,
case.
that was my next point, Jim. If you're
Yeah,
not bringing binoculars up on that trek up there, then what are you even doing it for?
I don't know. Just to say you did, I have no clue. But look, there's not many people that make that trip because it's quite a mountain. But there's more that make that same trip out in Phoenix or not. Yeah, well, it's Tempe, so it's close enough. At Arizona State, there's a really cool mountain on the opposite side of the home, side, which is where the press box side is. So it's the press box side. Looking out, you see the mountain, and the weird part is, it's right in the flight plan for the airport for Phoenix Airport. So it's like if you were giving the pilots you know the opportunity, like needed directions, go toward the mountain and take a left, and you're on your way to the airport. So hopefully they don't have to do that for most of those flights. But yeah, it's a very cool setup over there. So New Mexico and UTEP, and you're taking the home team on this one, or you're taking New Mexico State if you had
Um,
to.
yeah, I'm not,
You're not taking
not
them, I know. Okay, but
not the best games tonight. Don't really. I don't love these midweek slates too
you're
much.
right. I mean, I would, for no apparent reason, I would probably take New Mexico State.
Yeah, I do see a lot of people like New Mexico State tonight. I mean, obviously, how can you not the way UTEP has played all
Right.
season? So
They haven't done anybody any favors, that's for darn sure. So, all right, well, that shall be a good one. All right, moving on. We talked about baseball. We talked about the two teams playing football. And speaking of football, the league kind of, you know, kind of threw something out there for I think more than anything for just to get a reaction to see how people would would get into it or not. And the theory was that in 5 years or so, maybe 5 or 6, they are giving serious consideration to having a Super Bowl in London, and that would be a very interesting situation to be sure if they did.
Yeah, I think from an NFL from a business standpoint, you're
Hmm.
only going to damage the product by doing that.
Hmm. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Having been to a few of these events, the sad part, because in a World Series, in an NBA playoffs, in an NHL playoff, so most of the major sporting events, the average fan can find a ticket. Now, it may cost them to get there, but they can find a ticket. You can find a ticket to the Orange Bowl. You can find a ticket to the, to Phoenix. We were just talking about Phoenix. You can find the bowl games. You can find. So even college football situations are pretty good. But man, the amount of tickets that are available to just quote unquote the average fan for a Super Bowl is just it's minuscule. It really is, and they go to season ticket holders, right off the get go. Now, can you buy them on on ticket exchanges? Yes, but I mean, it could cost you if you're talking about the hotel and everything that goes with it, right? It could cost you upwards of $10,000 to $15,000 to go to the Super Bowl. So that might be something that would give you some, not a lot, but some pause if you're a football fan. People who go to the event, I mean, go to the site, don't go to the Super Bowl. They go someplace in town and watch it. So there's even that situation going on. So they jack the hotel prices up on you. It's nothing about Super Bowl is cheap. So they want to have it in London. Do I think that it would be a wise idea? No, but the money might be there, and the league has never left money on the table. So we shall see what we shall see in
You
that
know,
regard.
the money may be there, Jim, but I think you're going to piss a lot of people off by having it
Yeah,
off of American soil, and you might just lose the ratings off of that sheer fact alone.
yeah. Well, the other thing is what time you're going to start it, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you
2:30 in the afternoon.
right. You're gonna play. They're gonna have to start it, like you said, 2:30, 3 o'clock. What I think if I'm not mistaken, of course, London's 5 hours, so it's not as bad as with the European situation. So you could do a 3 o'clock kick, and that'd be 8 o'clock London time, and probably get away with it. But you know, everybody's used to Super Bowl being, around that 6:30, kick time, and finishing around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and that's on the East Coast for those wondering what I was talking about. So, basically, if you're talking about the West Coast in this, which you can't, you can't, disregard the West Coast. You're talking about if it's a 3 o'clock kick, it's noon, in Los Angeles. So do you have a Super Bowl breakfast? I mean, what do you what do you do? So yeah, I think they're just floating the balloon out there to see whether or not people think it's a good idea or not. Um, and as I agree with you on the money side of it. Doesn't matter if the money's there. There's got to be a reason not to do it. Now, if they wanted to do the Pro Bowl there, I think that'd be fine. I don't think anybody'd have an argument with that.
That I'm all for, Jim. Nobody watches the Pro Bowl. You know how I feel about these All Star games, anyway.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
So that's fine. Get it out of sight, out of mind. Have it in London, whatever. It's a good trip for the players too. Didn't they used to do it in Hawaii? That was like a fun thing for
Yeah,
the
they
players to
did
do.
do it in Hawaii. Hawaii was the players liked Hawaii, for good reason.
Yeah.
Um, the problem with the Hawaii thing is that the stadium literally uh, is decomposing, which is not a good thing if you're a stadium. So the league was concerned about that, and then they brought it. And since it became, it was a product of ESPN, they moved it to Orlando and played the game in Orlando for a couple of years, and now, it's still in Orlando, but they floated around. It's been, there's been some concern. There's been something of why don't they go back and forth between Vegas and Orlando in that regard. They're not going to do it in Vegas this year because they have the Super Bowl there, so nobody plays on the field, um, you know, until after the Super Bowl, and that's not going to happen. So I assume right now the big thing for the players and the pretty much the only incentive for coming and playing in the game is to bring your family to Disney and have a good week. So
Yeah. I mean,
I
Florida's not a
think that's
bad
it.
trip either.
No, 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 no. And it's like I said, you got if you're going there and they're footing the bill for you to stay in the hotel and uh, for being going to Disney and having a family outing of sorts, um, that's probably the wisest situation you could get away with and still have it. Now, again, it would be a bowl game, a Pro Bowl in London might be cool for some players and for the families. It might be a cool trip to go out and see London. So maybe that would be the way to go. But I agree with you. I don't think the league, even as successful as the league is in a position that they could get away with doing a Super Bowl that isn't played in North America. I mean, I could see if you wanted to take it to Toronto or Vancouver. I think that would not be something that anybody would get too bent out of shape about. But yeah, to take it to Europe, I think you're no pun intended, but I think that's a bridge too far.
Yeah, I will. I will definitely be the first to tell you that is a bad idea. NFL, you're going to piss a lot of people off, and you know how many parties you're going to throw off, Jim. Okay, Super Bowl chili needs time to cook. You cannot
Right.
just you can't you
You,
can't you're not just getting up at 6 a.m. and having that ready for noon, eleven
nah,
thirty kickoff. Like, come on,
that's
guys.
not going to happen. It's it's one of those things where you go, all right, had enough. It's yeah, you need the opportunity to get into the mood for the game, right?
Yeah.
You want that build up. So
And
it's
that's the
one of
other
those
thing,
kind of things.
right? Like a lot of people, you like to drink, you like to party. Well, what
Hmm.
happens when the Super Bowl's done by 3 in the afternoon? You're gonna have all these people out in the street in broad daylight, just drunk out of their mind. Come on, NFL, you
Or
gotta,
even
you
worse,
gotta
you can
think
have
these
it.
things through.
I was gonna say even worse, you have them at your house.
Yeah, yeah. Or like, what about the team that wins? Like that city is gonna be a mess, and we're not even at like dusk yet. It's just
Right.
gonna like you're not gonna be able to drive anywhere 3 in the afternoon.
Right. It's like, we don't need that. Yeah, that would definitely be a mess for that situation. Um, you know, it's gonna be it'll be fun. It'll be fun. But I don't think they're gonna do it. And I mean, look at the people who watch. I mean, a lot of people watch the Champions League title, and that was a 3 o'clock game. Started at 3 o'clock. So as you say, by 6 o'clock it was over. And so you know, it's yeah, it's dark because it's that time of the year, but I'm not so certain it's the wisest thing you could come up with.
Well,
No
the other
question
thing,
about that.
nobody's throwing a Champions League party. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
No,
not. I'm
well,
not inviting 30 people over for the to watch Man
yeah,
City and Inter Milan end in a
right.
1-1 draw.
Shoot, it's like it's one of those kind of things. That's for sure. Um, we talked about college football, and really here there's a this the sporting news this week, and they pick. a couple of games and talk about them. And in the two they picked, uh, not shouldn't surprise anybody. Number 7 Penn State, number 3 Ohio State. That's a noon kick on Fox. It's a big Saturday, and then you know it's time to move on to the SEC and a big time rivalry there, which is Tennessee and Alabama. And to be honest, this is probably the best um, team Tennessee has put out there in a while. And they may just have an opportunity to beat Alabama this time around.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Tennessee, they're not great on the road. Obviously, they
All right,
had their one road loss in the conference came against your Florida Gators, Jim, who
fully aware
absolutely,
of that. Yes.
yeah, that defense annihilated Tennessee, and Alabama's a much better defense than Florida. I think Tennessee is probably going to struggle to score in this game. I don't think Alabama's going to score a ton, right? But I think Alabama could win this game scoring 20 points.
Well, that's what they did with USF. They scored 14 points in that game.
Your other team.
My other team, yeah. Thanks, guys, for making sure that we got those schedules right. So there you go. It's interesting. Um, the odds at BetMGM on the Tennessee and Alabama game, and I'm just checking this one is it's on BetMGM, and all I'm getting is Jamie Foxx. I'm not getting the game. I clicked on the link they said for the game, and I'm getting Jamie Foxx. So
That's. I feel like BetMGM is just Jamie Foxx now.
yeah,
Like they should change the lion with his face.
right. Just put his line. What's and Kevin Hart's got? Is it
DraftKings.
DraftKings? Right, giving him. That's kind of funny. Some of the stuff he does with that.
Yeah, actually, I've seen him do FanDuel commercials too. Actually,
Oh, really? Okay.
maybe we only get those in Canada, but I've seen him do both the FanDuel and the
Yeah.
DraftKings, and I was like, isn't that a little bit of conflict of interest there?
You would think, yeah. You would absolutely think. All right. Well, Alabama straight up against Tennessee overall for their entire, career, um, is 131 and 22. That is not what you call a rivalry. that is basically what you call, occasionally beating them.
Taking the cattle to the slaughter.
Right.
That's what
Exactly.
that is.
Goodbye. Farewell. Now against the spread, and I don't know how much people put this factor into it. Um, Against the spread, Bama, who would be favored in the game, is again this is overall of Bama's games um, against Tennessee. They're 62, 60, and 3 against the spread. That's not exactly overwhelming.
It's not terrible either, right around 500.
Right.
Considering Alabama has been a very good team, and a lot of the times they get these bigger spreads, so it's a lot harder to cover. But coming into this game, they're only a 9-point favorite at home here, probably because this is one of the worst Alabama teams we've seen in years, and that's saying a lot considering they're
Right.
still ranked inside the top 25 and they
Right.
only one loss this year. But we'll see how they finish the season. They very well could lose, another two, 3 games this season. So
Yeah. Absolutely. My this by the way was written by my boy Bill Bender at the Sporting News, who covers college football for them. Um, Basically, in the Penn State Ohio State game, and this is Bender's choice. And let me just preface this by saying I love Bill Bender. If you're watching Bill Bender, you know that that you're one of my guys here. But he lives and attended Ohio State University. He lives still in um, in that part of Ohio. So it's a little bit Billy. I gotta say, buddy, it's a little bit of of love for the Buckeyes that's in this, and he predicts that Ohio State beats Penn State in a close one, 28-21, and they cover the spread. So that's what Bill says. So if they beat them by 28, then the spread the spread the other day you told me I think was like 3.5, something like that.
Yeah, 4 points,
Four
four and a
points now.
half. I think it's down to four now. It might be 3.5 by kickoff because
Yeah,
a lot of Penn State money. I
a lot
did
of
say
cash
that.
coming in.
Yeah, that one opened at 10 briefly. If you were lucky enough to grab a ticket with a 10 in the
Yeah.
first 5 minutes, then you're laughing. But yeah, I kind of think this is 24-20 for Penn State.
Mhm. Okay. Um, there is a game, and these are games that we likely wouldn't get to, so we'll throw them out here. And that's the game Air Force and Navy. That's for the Commander's Cup trophy, because basically these are the two best teams. Although, in fairness, Army has gotten better, and Navy has not regained the swagger that they had a few years ago. So the deals it's being played in Annapolis, the home of Navy, and according to FanDuel, Air Force is a 10-point favorite over Navy in a 12 o'clock game that will air on CBS. The midshipman's quarterback Zach Lehrer suffered a knee injury last week in a game against Wyoming. So his status at this point is I'm sorry, did I say no? Zach is the quarterback of the Falcons, not the midshipman. My bad. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Navy, has won back-to-back games, and they have a +9 turnover ratio this season, which is third best in the FBS. So they've found a way, not only to win but to take the ball away from the other team. Now Billy's pick is Air Force by 3 points, but they can't cover the spread.
Yeah, I mean this one opened at 11 and it's down to 10 now. It's
Hmm.
been dropping. It'll probably get below 10 before kickoff, and I tend to agree that Air Force should win this game, but I don't know if they cover the spread here, just because that's a lot of points. And two military teams playing against each other. Obviously, they know how to play each other. So it's going to be a very close game. As you said, Navy's had a lot of success against Air Force the last few times. Now, this might be the best team Air Force has had in years, but at the same time, other than that win against Wyoming last week, they haven't really played anybody tough this year. I don't even think they have a Power Five team on
On their
their
resume.
schedule. Yeah, so this is one where really a bit of an untested Air Force team. They almost lost that game at home against Wyoming last week.
Hmm.
So yeah, now they're going to go on the road, obviously in a rivalry game here, and your best bet's probably to take the points with Navy.
Well, we got one. Your Oklahoma Sooners, noted number 6 in the country, is at home in Norman, where they will take on the newly part of the Big 12 conference, UCF Knights, and Oklahoma's an 18.5 favorite, so it's 18.5 points. That game's on ABC at noon. Dylan Gabriel, who's a quarterback at Oklahoma, was, for those of you who recall, a quarterback at UCF. So he has, he has some knowledge of what goes on with them. It's going to be interesting because Oklahoma's coming off of a bye, and usually when teams come off a bye, they're pretty good. Uh, I don't know what's going on with regard to UCF because they haven't won a conference game yet out there, and normally one would expect you're not going to win your first game on the road at Oklahoma. That really doesn't jive. Billy thinks that Oklahoma wins 45-24 and covers the spread.
Yeah,
Uh,
this Oklahoma team, I love them
yeah.
this year, Jim. Obviously, they're ranked number 6 in the country right now, but
Hmm.
that always kills me because every time I turn on the TV and I see these analysts talking, they always pull up the all-state playoff predictor, and
Right.
Oklahoma is the team leading with a 22 or 21% chance to win the national title, and
Right.
I always wonder how they get those numbers. I'm like, so what? They know someone's going to vote Oklahoma in by the end of the year. They looking at the strength of the schedules, I guess, of the teams in front of
Hmm.
them. Someone's going to have to lose a game. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, they all play each other. So
Right.
yeah, I really like this Oklahoma team. I don't know about this game specifically, but they are coming out of the bye, and obviously they're off that big win in the Red River rivalry, so they're going to be pushing.
Well, Central Florida, in their last two trips, and both of them have been in the state of Kansas. They faced Kansas State and Kansas. Um, they gave up, a combined in those two games 95 points. I, we know Oklahoma scores points, but Oklahoma plays defense too, and so this is going to be it's going to be tough for UCF to. I think it's going to be tough for them to score on Oklahoma. I really do. I don't know that the Knights are going to be able to pull off much of a. This could be ugly. Um, and just for the record, as a fan of USF, I'm more than happy to see Oklahoma beat them 81 to nothing if they can. Um, that's not nice, I know, but I don't care.
Oh, that
Um,
defense is trash, and it could definitely happen.
yeah, they could get shredded, and I think they're gonna, because Oklahoma knows that if you're number 6, right? I mean, we talked about this last week with Florida State, and and some of the other teams. They need style points, and UCF just might be that team that they're gonna get those style points on. They got to hop 6. They're not at the moment, in the playoff. They're in the playoff conversation, but I do think the Sooners need to put some points on some of these guys just to get those style points up, and maybe push them, into the top 4. You talked about Tennessee and Alabama. Billy has Bama to win 28-24 in another close one. And of course, if that's the case, then they're not going to cover the spread. So that's his deal on that one. Um, excuse me. North Texas, the Mean Green take on Tulane. In a game that's being played in New Orleans. Tulane's number 23 team in the country, and they got some players on that team, and Michael Pratt's back, so that's a good news situation. And the Green Wave just might be headed to another New Year's Six bowl game if they can keep on that track. North Texas is 2-0 so far this season against the spread as a dog, so something to consider. Billy likes Tulane to win 35-17, but that's not enough to cover the spread. So that's where we are. That's the spread's 19.5 points. That might be a little too much. I
Yeah,
mean,
it all
North
depends.
Texas isn't that bad.
North Texas is pretty bad.
Yeah, well, true. Okay.
They did get throttled by Cal in their first game of the season,
Hmm.
like 58-20 or something like that. But
Everybody has a bad day. I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah, they've been playing better lately. But Tulane might be one of the best Group of Five schools in the country. They were last year for sure, and they have a defense. Michael Pratt is running that
hmm
offense well, so yeah, that might be a game to stay away.
to just kind of, if you're gonna watch it, tune it in, but leave your money in the pocket. Um, Minnesota against Iowa. We talked yesterday in glowing terms about the punter for Iowa who made the All American team. Um, this one, is the ability to take control of the Big Ten West. They can get rid of PJ Flack's Minnesota team. This game's a 5.5 point favorite for Iowa at home. Kinnick Stadium is a very tough place to play. The Gophers had a bye week last week, so they've had an extra time to prepare. But they're an 0-2 this against the spread as a road dog this year, and Iowa is a 2-0 record against the spread as a home favorite. So Iowa wins 20-14 and covers the spread according to Bill.
Yeah, I mean Iowa has no offense, but
They're not
that
going to score a lot of
defense.
points, but they're not
Yeah,
going to give up a lot of points either. So.
that's the thing, right? Their defense is going to score more than their offense,
Mm-hmm.
and that defense is very good. It might be one of the best in the country for sure. This they've had a solid defense for years now, and they just continue to pump out solid defensive players. They don't give up points. They don't give up a ton of yards. They cause turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
So from the defensive side of the ball, they're doing everything right. Now from the offensive side of the ball, they're doing everything wrong. But it hasn't seemed to matter because this is a team that's winning games consistently every year. And yeah, right now they have the Big Ten West in their own hands. I don't think Minnesota is going to be much of a threat to them the
Right.
way they've played this year.
PJ Flack can just enjoy his in his life. Washington State is in Eugene to face number 9 Oregon now. Oregon is I don't know how this happened. And Oregon's, for all intents and purposes, a 20-point favorite. They're 19.5 points. That's an awful lot of an awful lot of points to give a Washington State team that's played pretty well this season. They had a bad day against Arizona, but you know, I don't know. Do you see Oregon? I mean, two things usually happen after you lose one of those games, especially to your rival, and what they did with Washington. And we've said, Oregon is so don't get on our back, Beaver fans as far as or Ducks fans, because we have been loving on Oregon. But you either go one of two ways. You have a really bad, hangover game, or you have a very good hangover game and beat the living, crap out of somebody. I don't know. It scares. This game would scare me for the amount of points you're giving a Washington State team that isn't that bad. Granted, Oregon's good, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Here's what Billy says. We'll agree to disagree or whatever. He says Oregon wins this game 42-17, covers the spread.
Yeah, this is a bounce back game for Oregon. That's why you're seeing the
Mm-hmm.
numbers as big as it is. Obviously, the 44-6 loss at home for Washington State to
Mm-hmm.
Arizona does not look good at all, especially when they lost in UCLA the week before. So they've been starting to skid a bit in their last two games. Where this Oregon team, they could have the letdown that you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about, but I would actually lean more to the bounce back factor. I think they're going to be pissed off. They lost a really close game on the road in Washington. They know they could have won that game. And I don't think their season is over because if Washington goes undefeated and then Oregon ends up running the table and that's their only loss, they're
Right.
going to see each other in the Pac-12 championship again. So I
Mm-hmm.
think Oregon's got their mindset on that rematch game and possibly even go into the college football playoff if they
Mm-hmm.
finish with just that one loss and a Pac-12
Right.
championship. So I think they'll probably come out very strong in this game.
Yeah. And the other thing too is we talked about style points for Oklahoma. When you lose a game to Washington, so you're losing basically a game to a team that was ranked one position ahead of you in the rating. So, it's not like you lost to somebody that was bad. And that game, if they could have tied the game, frankly, at the end. So it was a close game. They could use some style points too. And maybe they get them against Washington State. I don't know. It'll be an interesting game to be sure. One or two more we'll take. Let's talk about Texas is in Houston. That's a 4 o'clock game on Fox. And, Texas has had a week to get over the hangover of the Red River rivalry loss. The Cougars are coming off basically, literally, a Hail Mary win over West Virginia last week. This is a chance for Houston to score its first, signature Big 12 win. These schools have not played since 2002. The Longhorns this season are 0-2 against the spread when they're favored by more than 20 points. So if that makes any sense to you, Texas is a 22.5 favorite over, the Cougar team. You got to believe that the stadium's going to be full in Houston. The trick is how many of those people that fill the stadium in Houston are Texas fans. So that's one of those. We got to be careful on that. So you know, it might be one of those home games where the opposing team is got more fans than you got. So we'll have to see. But anyway, Billy thinks it's a 35-14 Texas win, and the Longhorns failed to cover the spread.
Yeah, I think this is another one where Texas is just going to come out and blow the doors off here. This is one where not only are they coming off the bye week and the loss to Oklahoma, but they've had to sit on that loss for 2 weeks now. They're going to be pissed off and probably similar mindset to Oregon. Lost a close game, and they're going to be looking to play Oklahoma again in the Big 12 championship and still have a shot at the playoffs. So I think Texas comes out of the bye really strong here. I also think it's a bit of a letdown for Houston after the way they won that
Could
game, and
be.
especially that was a huge win for them. They were coming out of their bye week. They weren't playing well before that, and that was their first win in the Big 12 as a newcomer. And obviously, you had Dana Holgerson against his whole team there. So I think definitely a bit of a letdown spot for Houston here.
Here's a game. It's a primetime game on Fox. We got so many games to get this weekend that we'll just kind of throw this in here because it's Utah on the road at the Coliseum in Los Angeles taking on USC. USC's a 5.5 point favorite over the over the Utes, and Billy says that USC wins 31-24, covers the spread. Now, here's my theory, and I want yours on this one. SC's defense has been playing well. The offense has been terrible. Utah, same thing. Defense has played well. Offense hasn't been, what they'd hoped it would be. So I don't know that you're going to, 31-24, is that too much?
I think it's way off there. First of all, he's got to push with that score because the line is a flat 7, and
Mm-hmm.
that's one where Utah scoring 24 points on the road. You're being very generous. I know the USC defense has been trash, but they're
But they got
probably
better. Yeah.
yeah. As you said, they've been improving. This Utah offense has been horrible. They're not going to do much on the road here, and
Right.
this is probably a game where USC just flat out outscores them to
Mm-hmm.
the point where Utah can't come back.
Well, the funny thing is, and this is one of those, there's a lot of deceiving stats. Here's one of them. Utah scored 44 points a game in the last 3 times they've played against, the Trojans. Fair, all right. That's a fact. Okay, it is a fact. But what is also a fact, which is not being mentioned, is that those 3 games, Cam Rising was the quarterback for Utah. I've heard nothing that said that Cam Rising is going to play on Saturday. It's possible that he will, but at the moment, unlikely. So the idea that Utah's going to put 44 points up is just ludicrous. That's not going to happen. So, I do think that, SC wins the game. I don't think it's going to be 31-24. Like you, I agree. I think SC gets out of here with a win. Maybe it's 2017, maybe it's 17-14, one of those kind of low scores, close game. So we'll see. But it, I just don't see that's going to happen. One last one we'll do, and we may come back to this one on when we look at the Saturday games. Number 25 UCLA is up at the farm, as they call it, and it's the Pac-12 After Dark game on ESPN this week. UCLA at Stanford. Stanford has gotten much better on the offense since Dayton Moore, or Dante Moore, I'm sorry, has been picked as the Cardinal quarterback. So that's going to be good. UCLA, has done really well with their defense, which has come to bear. Billy picks UCLA 36-22, doesn't cover the spread.
Yeah, I don't know. This game, I don't really like this one that much.
Right.
Probably won't be betting it myself. UCLA hasn't been great. They're a team that's starting. You're starting to see what they really are as their schedule gets a little tougher.
Right.
So yeah, definitely not a game I love.
Stay away, stay far, far away. And it's I don't know that Stanford's defense didn't play well against Colorado last week. Needless to say. So yeah, we'll have to take a look at that and see. But I do think that's it. Let's we got Foxy, we got some of the guys here. Justin, hey Jim, what'd you make of this morning's story about ACC maybe eyeing TCU in West Virginia in 2032 when Big 12 media deal is up? It wouldn't surprise me because if they feel that they're going to lose, if they feel that they're going to lose Clemson and Florida State, then TCU and West Virginia wouldn't be bad pickups. It would certainly be helpful to Pitt and Cincinnati, and for that matter, I'm blanking. Virginia Tech. West Virginia has a history with those schools, and I think that would. I think you would have a lot of West Virginia fans real happy if the ACC grabbed West Virginia and TCU, because TCU, year in and year out, they have a pretty decent football team year in and year out. Is the ad of TCU and WVU equal to Clemson, the loss of a Clemson, Florida State? No, but they're not bad. It's not a bad situation to have them in the conference. So yeah, it's a long way between now and 2030. 2030. But and by the way, there would be 6 years left on the ACC media deal at that point. So we'll see. But anyway, Justin, it 100%. It'd be something which I think that they're gonna look at. So it's a good question. Thanks for the question. Foxy wants to know some stuff from you there, big guy.
Yeah, no, I love to hear this news. That's what he gets for leaving my team, and I hope you guys, I hope you enjoy that, Foxy, and hey, have fun with Tenali. But yeah, to answer his second question, I mean, it has been an issue. Obviously, we had what happened with the Iowa State in the offseason in college football. There's been a ton of players in the NFL suspended by it. Now they're starting to lax the rules where the players can bet on other sports.
Right.
But not at the facility, and definitely not on your own sport. So, yeah, it's definitely an issue to tackle.
Foxy, just one quick history bit. Two of the NFL in the 1960s, two of the NFL's superstars, Alex Karras, who played defensive line for the Detroit Lions, and Paul Hornung, who was the guy who they coined the phrase "the Golden Boy." Who played for the Green Bay Packers, they bet on football, and it wasn't legal, for them to bet at the time. And and both of them got a, you know, basically they got a 2 game suspension. And, well, no, I'm sorry, they got suspended for a year. That was in the first 2 games of the following year. So it really wasn't, even though there's been a history, and there has been a very big history with betting on sports in the United States. Um, I agree with Amadeus. I don't think the league can't be that tone deaf whenever they've got sponsors that they have that are betting services. So I agree with Amadeus. Maybe they'll let you bet on college football, but they won't let you go to on pro sports. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I mean they're gonna have to relax the rules, or they're not gonna have to, they're gonna have to not take the money, which they're not gonna not do. They'll take. We just mentioned BetMGM. They'll take BetMGM's money. They'll take FanDuel, DraftKings. They'll take all that cash. So yeah, I think I agree with Amadeus. They'll figure out some way to get that taken care of where there's no problems. So there you go. All right. Anybody else, class, before we get out of here today? Going once, going twice? Guess not. Okay. Well, Amadeus, lay on us where people can find you.
Yeah, make sure you check out my premium plays at bigal.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. I have college football up for tonight and the rest of the week, as well as my entire NFL card for
Wow.
Sunday and Thursday. So you can go get that early before the Lions move, and then I'll have tons of Premier League and
Hmm.
soccer up for the weekend as well by tomorrow,
Cool.
most likely.
Sounds like a good plan, my friend. And tomorrow we'll have a NFL game and a few college games to talk about, and we'll have another baseball game, and we'll have another opportunity to decide whether or not, and we'll find out if Texas will be 1 game away from wrapping things up in that game. So, by the way, both of those, the World Series would start on Sunday if there's a situation where everybody closes out quick. So it would start that quickly. But if you've got World Series tickets, hold on to them at this point from those 4 teams, because right now we don't know where it's going to start, but it is what it is. All right, gang. For Amadeus, I'm Jim. Have a great week. Yeah, have a great week. Have a great day, and we'll be back and see you tomorrow. Okay, take care.